Does your Windows need a polish? Well, it's almost here. The next version of Microsoft's Windows. And this week on Click, we'll look at Windows 7, mull over the new features, and give those new bells and whistles a quick shake and a blow. We'll toss around a new way of sharing data, and we'll meet the latest generation of robots trying to convince us that they're not here to take over the world. All that, plus the latest tech news and the best of the web in Webscape. Welcome to Click. I'm Spencer Kelly. It's the world's most popular operating system, Microsoft Windows. And since 1985, we've seen the software giant deliver many versions, each one improving on the last, fixing bugs, improving usability, and taking advantage of new technologies. In 2007, we saw the release of the most recent iteration, the much-hyped Windows Vista. And we all know how that one turned out. Amidst all the harumph, huzzahs, ticker tape parades and hallelujahs, Vista's revamped interface certainly looked the part. But then came the problems. Drivers for basic hardware like printers and scanners just didn't work, neither did many applications. Although most of these problems have since been fixed, the launch had been permanently marred. Keen to put that all behind it, Microsoft has announced its new operating system, Windows 7, will be available before the end of this year. Could this be the Windows that Vista should have been? We've been checking out the release candidate of Windows 7. That's a pretty near finished version available to download by anyone who fancies testing it out, on the understanding that it does need a bit of technical know-how and it's also not guaranteed to run smoothly. You can insert your own Windows joke there. Windows 7 is certainly different to its predecessors. As well as lots of extra functionality, one of the biggest changes is it's designed to work with multi-touch. More on that later. First, let's take a look at the cosmetic changes. The taskbar, which has remained pretty much the same since Windows 95, has been combined with the Quick Launch bar to become the Superbar. The text has gone, so now you just have a list of icons of programs that are already running and also ones that you might like to run, and these can be shuffled around to suit your needs. Hover the mouse over these icons and you can see thumbnails of all windows of one type at once. Resizing windows is easier. Drag one to the edge of the screen and it will automatically either fill half or the whole screen. Shake a window and it minimises everything else. Shake it again and it all comes back. Not sure this one will catch on, but we'll see. Hover or click here and everything gets minimised. Maybe that's so you can enjoy the wonderfully bizarre pre-installed desktop backgrounds. Some of these even weird me out. You can also take a group of your favourite pictures and have the desktop background cycle through them as a slideshow. The live search feature has also been improved. Your results are now neatly categorised and each heading is given a live link. And you can even create your own search filters to get to your results faster. I caught up with Tom Royal, Deputy Editor of Computer Active magazine, to find out what he thought of Windows 7. So you've been using Windows 7 for a little while, so have we. The first thing that strikes me is for a release candidate, it's pretty finished, isn't it? I mean, all the features seem to be there.
It is. It runs really surprisingly well. Normally we wouldn't recommend many people to even go near this kind of software, but with Windows 7 it's working well enough for many people to try out.
What do you make of the cosmetic changes? The new style taskbar, the shaking of the windows, the Aero snap?
I think they vary from really quite good. So the taskbar, for instance, with the big buttons down at the bottom of the taskbar, I think that will be much easier for most people to use.
And people are going to be saying it's just like the Mac again.
People will. This is always the argument. Yeah. But it's just a simple way of launching programs. It does make sense for them to do that. On the other hand, some of the stuff, shaking the windows to make the other windows disappear, it's a bit daft. People probably won't actually use it.
One of the big buzzwords at the moment is touch, and in fact multi-touch. So more than one finger controlling your device. Windows 7 has multi-touch built in, doesn't it? As long as you have the right hardware.
It does. The key thing is that you need the right computer to run it on. Many computers with a touchscreen will not do multi-touch. In fact, at the moment we could only find one laptop that it's easy to get hold of that does it. It's also quite limited. So, for example, I've got a web page up. You can use multi-touch to zoom into the web page. That's not really terribly useful.
It's the same kind of idea that you'll see on the iPhone with the pinch and the deep
It's very, very similar. The gestures are almost exactly the same.
Do you think that touch is just a gimmick for computers? I mean, I can understand how you would want it on a mobile device where you want to get rid of the keyboard, make the screen as big as possible. But on a computer, say a screen of that size, where you don't maybe want to sit within arm's length of it.
The thing is, it may be a gimmick, but at the moment people are buying touchscreen computers, even though they have to pay a bit more for them. So I think we'll have to watch over maybe the first year, the first 2 years of Windows 7 and see exactly how many home users actually decide to spend that extra cash and buy it.
One of the big changes that I can see in the way that your files are organised, or certainly that you can navigate them, are libraries. I mean, just talk us through libraries, because people have said it's going to take a while to get your head around it, and they're right.
Sure. I mean, 5-10 years ago, hard disks in computers were small. You couldn't store that many files. Nowadays, even a small laptop has an enormous hard disk, hundreds and hundreds of music video files. Trying to keep in touch with where they all are can be quite hard. So libraries is a way of organising your files no matter where they're stored on the hard disk. You can have a library that will show all of your music files, no matter whether they're in 2, 3, 10, 15 different folders. But you can create your own libraries for anything. So I could create a library just for, say, documents to do with my job or for personal documents. You can expand it as much as you want.
Security was a big deal with Vista. How much more secure is Windows 7? Does it build on that? Does it reinvent it? Does it take into account, the most recent threats?
The biggest thing in Vista was user account control, or UAC, which was this message that would pop up to warn you that you were doing something that was going to fundamentally change the way your PC operated.
About every 5 minutes.
About every 5 minutes. Great idea. Works quite similarly to the way that Mac and Linux computers work, which are very secure, but it annoyed so many people. In Windows 7, you have a lot of different settings according to how you use your computer. So if you set your computer up once and then leave it pretty much alone, you can set it to be quite strict and to warn you when something tries to install. If, on the other hand, you like to play around with your computer, you like to install lots of new software, you can turn it down a notch so that it's not going to be popping up every time you try and do that.
And one of the other major complaints with Vista was, because it was a complete rebuild of Windows, the drivers, the little tiny programs that controlled your printer and your scanner wouldn't work on Vista if they worked on XP. What's the deal with things working straight out of the box and with software working straight out of the box with Windows 7?
Well, in terms of drivers, I spoke to Microsoft the other week, and they are really keen to stress just how many manufacturers they're working with to make sure that everything's going to work straight away. That said, Windows 7 is very similar to Vista in the way that it handles drivers. So if you have an older computer with stuff that only works with Windows XP, I would be cautious before trying to install Windows 7, because you may well have the same problems. So it's a bit of a mixed bag. In terms of software, business users of Windows 7 will have a special tool that will actually allow them to run old Windows XP software. But again, sadly, that's not going to be available for home users.
Tom, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
We asked you the other day on Twitter what you thought of Windows 7, and those of you who have been downloading and trying it out are generally quite positive about it. We'd love to hear more of your experiences over the next few weeks. Email click@bbc.co.uk or join us on Twitter, twitter.com/bbcclick. Now, the latest tech news. You may remember earlier in the year we reported on this, the much anticipated Palm Pre smartphone. Well, this week sees the news that it's finally going to be released, at least in the US, early next month. Palm once had the lion's share of the PDA market, and it's hoping to reinvent itself with the touchscreen device which is being dubbed an iPhone killer. Another one? Surely not. Apple will have something to say about that. In fact, perhaps only a few days later, when it's widely rumoured it will be announcing a new iPhone. This week has also seen the public release of Wolfram Alpha. The brainchild of Professor Stephen Wolfram, it's been vaunted as a more intelligent search engine which actually tries to interpret the meaning of what you're asking. For example, if you type in genome, it will return hard, meaningful facts about genomes instead of just a list of search results. Wolfram Alpha contains over 10 trillion pieces of data and over 50,000 algorithms. Check it out for yourself at wolframalpha.com. And finally, US Air Force officials have warned that the network of satellites which provides data for the world's global positioning system could be close to a breakdown. A US government study suggests that a lack of investment and mismanagement could lead to everything from in-car sat-navs to military GPS providing incorrect data or breaks in service as early as next year. Time to break out those maps and road atlases then. There is a trend in technology at the moment to make our gadgets and devices wireless so they can talk to each other without having to plug in cables in between all of them. You've got Bluetooth on your mobile phone, home wireless internet, of course the mobile phone network. This is the first device I've seen that uses a new type of wireless technology called ultra-wideband, UWB. It's a faster way of transferring data. Essentially, it's a portable flash memory drive. It's 16 gig, you can store your photos, your documents, your video, anything you like on here. And you can share any document you want with anyone else that has one of these devices. To show you how it works, I'd like to introduce you to my colleague Nima Akbarpour, who presents Click on the BBC's Persian TV service. Salam, Nima.
Hi, Asman. How do you do?
Merci, Khubam. Multi-skilling at the BBC, eh? So, it's a little bit gimmicky, but what you do is, first of all, you pair the two devices by pressing the button, and then they talk to each other. Then you select the file that you want to share, and this is the gimmicky part. In order to share it, you toss the file. There you go. And you can see it arriving on the screen. It really is quite fast. We've tested this a few times. We've transferred just over 1 gigabyte in about 2.5 minutes. It works out to about 64 megabits per second, which really is quite speedy. Merci, Nima, mibinamet.
Cheers, bye.
Now, eventually the idea is that maybe all of your home computing devices will talk wirelessly to each other. So your printer, your computer, your keyboard, your media player, your PVR. No cables anymore, all wireless, and maybe using UWB if it catches on. Still to come on Click this week, we're in Prague to look at the latest developments in robot technology. And Kate serves up another great selection of sites in Webscape.
Very good. What do you think you're doing? Maybe next time I should tell you when I travel Finnair.
In our tradition, when butterflies come, it is the sign that special ones will arrive. We always greet special people like you, because your coming is our happiness. It's time to visit Indonesia.
Someday, our boundaries will be subtracted. Someday, our knowledge will be combined. Someday, our ambition will be multiplied. Someday is today. Masdar City in Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates. The world's first zero-waste, carbon-neutral city, powered by renewable energy, where innovators are coming together to solve our energy future.
As the veil has slowly lifted on America's policy of imprisoning what it called unlawful enemy combatants, the allegations of torture have tumbled out. In this programme, 3 men bear witness to their own mistreatment at the hands of American soldiers and the CIA.
From here in Germany, the European Union's largest state, to the smallest Malta, from the Arctic Circle to the middle of the Med, the race is on for the European parliamentary elections. It's the first chance most people have had to vote since the economic crisis began. So who will benefit? Governments or opposition? Left or right? To find out, join us here on BBC World News.
World Challenge is back for 2009, and this year it couldn't be easier to nominate a business or individual who you think deserves to be recognised. Just go to theworldchallenge.co.uk, click on Nominate and fill in the simple form. Nominations close on the 22nd of May. World Challenge 2009, in association with Shell.
2 weeks ago, we showed you some of the futuristic ways in which we might be communicating with our computers in the coming years. The Science Beyond Fiction Expo in Prague was the first time the European Commission had showcased some of the pretty innovative tech that it's been funding. Well, in his second and final report from the Czech capital, Dan Simmons met the researchers and scientists who want to make robots more like us.
When it comes to everyday life, we can outmaneuver, outthink and outcharm most robots. So one of the challenges we face this century is how to make them as good as us. This robot is learning how to cook, or rather it's being shown how to do various tasks which it's then able to replicate. But the same team behind the chef bot also wants to make robots less intimidating. A series of sensors and cameras help this bot take the cup and throw it in the bin. Fortunately, speed isn't the goal. Its main aim is to understand our comfort zones.
The intention of the robot should be easily understandable by the human. My task, my goal is to give you an object, the phone, okay? Is this acceptable to you? Is this legible to you? Okay? Is this legible to you? So all these motions are possible, and if you don't develop an algorithm that choose between this, you could have any one of these.
Getting robots to move more like us is a big ask. For example, if you walk, how often do you concentrate on how to go about it? We're constantly making tiny adjustments because each part of us knows how to move on its own.
Rather than starting with humans, we start with a very basic, primitive vertebrae. And this model, which has just been put together by researchers, runs at the moment from just the head, but soon we can expect to see computational power on each segment of this and other production models, which will mean that the robot is moving much more similarly to animals and indeed humans.
With devolved decision-making comes greater dexterity. They're easier to steer, and that could be useful in scenarios from neuroscience to underwater exploration. But let's not get carried away with our agility. There are some things we don't find easy. Seals, of course, can balance a ball, and now so can this robot. 3 light sensors each measure the distance to the ball. The robot then works out where it needs to move next to keep the ball up, all at lightning pace. Getting the right calculations quickly is important if robots are to balance themselves as we do. These cube bots are doing something we do, but most other robots can't. They're collaborating. Like a swarm, they can communicate where they are and what they've found out, here to get to the other side of the maze. They can share power if one is getting weak on battery. And this animation shows what's next. An interconnecting tribe escapes the confines of the box, something one of them alone couldn't do. A little scary perhaps if a swarm like this were to become autonomous, but the idea is to use its scalability and adaptive features to build bridges or mount rescues too difficult or dangerous for humans. Robots will also need to learn as they go, which is what Neo here is doing. A camera from above picks up where the objects are and wirelessly feeds that information back to the bot. Then he can find out more about his environment.
The box changed its position when I pushed it. I wonder if all these boxes are like this one.
Neo learns that the ball will sit on the cube, but the cube won't sit on the ball. Of course, he's still reliant on his pre-programmed learning sequences, but researchers eventually want Neo to be able to find the answers to his own questions in relation to a task. But perhaps to truly develop a robot like us, we have to understand how we think. It's our minds that set humans apart. And here scientists have discovered what could be a breakthrough by studying the brainwaves of rats.
What we are showing here is how it is possible to reconstruct the position of an animal only by the use of its brainwaves. So what we can see here now on the screen, on the left side, is the real position of the rat tracked with a video system. And on the right side, we see the brain signals of these place cell neurons. And out of this information, we reconstruct the position of the rat without any use of a camera.
It's a sort of GPS using brainwaves instead of satellites. It's a very big leap to being able to read minds, but knowing how the brain deals with the space around us could help people with disabilities control robotic aids in a very natural way, through thought. By learning how to create robots that can outmaneuver and even outwit us, we may find robots more useful in the future. Now, though, they just need to work on the charm.
What are you looking at?
The challenge of making robots better, like you and me. Yeah, on second thoughts, maybe not. Anyway, here's someone who's so unique she can't be copied. Although her bookmarks folder maybe. If you're interested in what she's found, here's Kate with Webscape.
People often ask me how I find all the cool downloads and things I feature on Webscape. Well, I use a lot of different resources, but this is one of the latest I've added to the list. Sign up with Wakupa.com and you will never need me again. No, wait. Well, that's not entirely true, I hope, but this amazing social networking website will give you a cunning insight into what other people are doing on the net, allowing you to quickly discover new web applications, games and software that will bring joy to your life. And because of the social networking element to this site, the sign-up process offers to search through your mail and messaging contacts for people to invite. No obligation to do so. You can also build your contacts by adding people already on the site who share similar interests with you, thereby increasing the chance of being recommended something that you'll like. You can also choose to download the tracker if you want your usage data to be added to the statistics. No one likes decorating, right? Well, actually, some people do. We spend an incredible amount of time painting and cleaning our own personal castles. So, of course, there are loads of places on the web where you can go for advice, like mydeco.com. Now, it's fair to say that the main aim of this site is to provide a retail outlet for UK shoppers. Apart from the fact that you can just browse through the pages looking for inspiration, they have a really neat section of design tools tucked away under Design Your Home. And these will help you create mood boards to see which colours and textures will work in your space, and even set out 3D room designs. Once registered and logged in, you can upload a picture of your room and make it editable to redecorate or furnish. These images can be printed or emailed so that you can share your ideas with others. And finally, a quick look at a fascinating musical project that I found. The creator of this site took dozens and dozens of unrelated musical clips from YouTube and, with the permission of the creators, remixed them into a whole new sound. And because I've probably said too much already, I'll just let you enjoy the clips for a taster. Click the movie screen at any time to link to it on YouTube, where you can watch the original clips that went into the remix from the panel on the right. Well, I hope you've enjoyed today's sampling from the web. Links as ever on our site. Spencer will be here momentarily to provide you with the details.
Thank you, Kate. Yeah, bbc.co.uk/click is the link you need. There you will find all of our articles and particulars, our extensive archive, and also a video stream of this programme too. And we do so love hearing from you, so please keep your emails coming in. Click at bbc.co.uk. Loving your thoughts, your opinions, and all those adverts for fake pharmaceuticals. That is you, isn't it? Yeah, I thought so. Thanks for watching. See you next time.